All right, very quickly before we start part 2 here, make sure you listen to this week's episode of Celtics Beat. I'm going to be hosting this weekend on Sunday, but right now we have up the Sean Grande interview. It's a fantastic interview. And Sean Grande is. Of course it's a fantastic interview. What are you talking about, Julian? Shut up. So listen to that show. Download us on the podcast on iTunes. Download the CLNS Radio podcast on iTunes. Like the Garden Report on Facebook. Do you have anything you want to say?
Do those things.
Easy.
Yeah, it's a way of life since I've been here. Just part of it.
Has Danny or anyone else spoken to you since this latest batch has come up? Or?
No. How many times you want me to say it?
Let's say it again. Yeah, one more time.
We discussed it on media day. My thoughts and my opinions as far as the organization hasn't changed.
All right, we're back for part 2 now. Let's talk the big trade rumors. So as of this recording, which is 11:35 p.m. on Wednesday night, Rajon Rondo is potentially involved in a deal that could send him to Dallas for potentially Brandon Wright and potentially some first-round picks. Now that sounds awful. I mean, that sounds absolutely awful. Even if Rondo has had a pretty rough last 3 years, that still sounds like pretty terrible value for him.
I mean, the report that we just read said the parts that would definitely be involved coming back from Dallas would be Brandon Wright, nice player, and
it's another Brandon Bass, though, really.
At least and at least one first-round pick. So if this deal turned out to be Brandon Wright, an expiring veteran contract to get off the books, and one 2015 first-round pick, that's not a very good deal. Like we just talked about.
Like the 29th pick in the draft there. That's going to be a damn good team.
Yeah, like we just talked about. The Mavericks would end up with Rondo, Monte Ellis, Chandler Parsons, Dirk Nowitzki, and Tyson Chandler as a starting 5.
That's it? Just Rondo with Dirk and Tyson? That's
not going to be a good pick coming back to you. That's giving Rondo away for not a very good haul.
Which makes me think it's probably not going to happen. Now, we don't know what...
I mean, I would think Ainge is smarter than that.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's 2 picks and it's a 2015 and a 2017, you would think the Mavericks would still be, even if they weren't a title contender by then and, Dirk's on his way out or Chandler's on his way out, you would still think that pick would not be a very high one. It's still, a mid-teens, late teens or something. They wouldn't be good picks. You need to get either a good pick or a good prospect back in a Rondo deal.
So another team needs to get involved, basically, to make this worthwhile for the Celtics.
That's what I would think.
I don't see Rondo getting traded in a 2-team trade. It's probably going to have to be a 3-team trade because there's no team that needs Rondo right now that has something that's really worth offering to the Celtics. Unless, Indiana's getting involved and Roy Hibbert's up for grabs and a first-round pick is up for grabs, then maybe we're talking.
Yeah,
Roy Hibbert's
better.
It's another really good player that's had a pretty down year or so right now. So that would make a little bit more sense. But for the Celtics, if they're going to move Rondo, then that means that, really, come on, guys, photo bombs, unbelievable, or video bombs. That means that the Celtics, can't be a fanboy right now. I've trashed Rondo enough. I love Rondo, always will. Grew up when I was growing up, one of my favorite players in the league, one of my favorite players ever. Will always love
Making Rondo old.
Oh, I always love Rondo. But so yeah, it would be tough even as a reporter for me to see Rondo go. Now, if they're going to get fair value for Rondo, they're going to have to work a 3-team deal where the team that Rondo's going to is sending out a different type of player to a team that could use that kind of player. Because there's just nothing out there that is really worth. Unless Rondo is telling the Celtics behind closed doors a different story than what he's saying publicly, which is totally believable. I mean, it's not like a bad thing on Rondo. It's just like, yeah, I mean, if I'm someone that wants to leave somewhere, I'm not going to be publicly declaring that I want to leave. I'm going to be professional. I'm going to say I want to be here. So Rondo could be lying about wanting to be here and still be completely justified in doing so. I certainly don't think he is so. I think he has a pretty good situation for himself in Boston. If he's going to leave, it's because a team that can really win a title during his prime, because don't forget he's a little bit older now. He's entering his prime right now, so he's got to go win somewhere really soon. So if he gets a better opportunity to do that somewhere else for the same price, then he should be doing it.
Yeah, I echo what you just said. A 3-team trade probably makes sense, but again, just like finding a two-team trade, it's tough to find those partners to make that work where everybody's happy in the end. And, you know, especially the Celtics, who are going to need to, you know, bring in some serious assets like we just talked about, multiple first-round picks that have the potential to land in the lottery, or, you know, good prospects that Ainge can see growing into stars in Boston. If they're going to get that and another team is going to get Rondo, what's that third team going to get to make it worthwhile? It's tough to find a player like that.
You have it all.
I mean, it's good ideas. Ideas are fun, but really finding that is so hard, as we know.
Sure.
So, I mean,
that's why there's staffs around the league that are probably sitting here right now without a camera in their face, yelling at each other over this.
For sure. I mean, if Rondo was to be dealt, you know, to a team, no third party involved, we were just talking about, you know, the Kings are a team that are, you know, more suited to do so with guys like Ben McLemore and Nick Stauskas that we like. Those are two players that are, you know, promising young prospects. They're already in the league. You don't have to wait and see where a lottery pick falls or if a pick lands in the lottery. If you like guys like that, then go get those guys and make something work there. If Ainge doesn't like those guys, then, you know, don't force a deal. Don't make something happen just to make it happen.
You know what I took away from that spiel there? Ideas are fun.
Take away?
Ideas are fun.
That's when I was saying that, you know, you can find three-team deals. I like your ideas. Ideas are a lot of fun. Those are what fans like to talk about. Those are what reporters like to talk about. You know, come up with creative ideas. If you were Danny Ainge, what would you do? That's what people like to talk about. That's what people like to do in their head. So, you know, we're going to make some stuff up and talk about it and see how it goes, and then it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah, then we'll wait to see what Bill Simmons does, crashing the ESPN trade machine, I assume, overnight. I'm very sitting there right now just clicking and clicking and clicking away on the trade machine, and that's what we're all doing.
I've done that, and it's hard to find things that you like with Rondo.
Sure. Oh yeah, it's not an ideal fit. But what's good though is he's only making around $11 million right now, so he's a little bit easier to move.
Yeah, he's 12.
Like a max guy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That does, you know, when you look through the trade machine, you always come across some contracts like Joe Johnson is making $23 million this year, and it's not the last year of his contract. That's very hard to trade.
It's a very sad reality in this world we live in. Yeah. Okay, so let's get back to business. Let's box and ball before we get out of here.
Box and ball.
So give me your boxing out stat of the night.
A boxing out stat of the night is, it was not quite 82 bench points that we saw in Washington, but 50 points for the bench tonight from only 4 players on kind of a short-handed bench with neither of the Marcuses. James Young was out, and, you know, Gerald Wallace didn't even score off the bench. So Kelly Olynyk had his 15, Brandon Bass had his 18. Let's see, Evan Turner had 8 and
points,
Phil Pressey had 9. So, you know, I thought they played really well. They did a great job and scored a lot of points in the third and fourth quarter.
It was, and that's pretty much what my stat is too. I'm just going to copy your stat if that's okay.
Go for it.
No, but for me, it was both the balance of scoring and the balance of shooting. So they had, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys that had at least 8 points. One guy had 8, and Turner, one guy had 9. So you had 6 guys in double figures. Of all the guys that took shots in this game, you had Bradley was the only one that shot less than 40%, and then him and Green were the only ones that shot less than 50%. So everybody was really efficient shooting the ball tonight.
Yeah.
A lot of that is because they were able to spread it around and get the open guy looks. So that really manifests itself in the box score, and that less shot attempts around kind of overall for everybody. Jeff Green's only taking 14 tonight, Solinger 13. So no one's taking 20 shots tonight. Yeah. Spread it out pretty well, and they're more efficient shots. And this is how you want to see the Celtics running their offense, getting into transition, hitting threes. Those are the keys for them. Yeah. They got it tonight. Part of that is because they're going against the Magic, but part of that is that they just executed really well tonight.
They did play well.
Yeah, and the guy that executed really well in the fourth quarter, Brandon Bass, talked about him before, Mr. Reliable.
Your baller.
He was just fantastic in the fourth quarter. I love the way that he brought it, love the way that he ran with and without the ball. He was a guy that really kind of played exactly how you want to see Brandon Bass play. That was just a perfect Brandon Bass performance.
My baller, I'm going to go, you know, Rondo had a good night, Bass had a good night, Olynyk had a good night. I'm going to go off the grid a little bit. I'm a big Phil Pressey fan, so Phil Pressey came in. He never kind of knows when he's going to play. Had 7 minutes going into the fourth quarter, finished with 19 because he played the entire fourth quarter. Played a lot of those minutes alongside Rondo in a kind of dual point guard set. Finished with his 9 points. Let's see. He had 4 assists, 2 rebounds to go with it. Shot 4 of 8 from the field. And, you know, I just like what I saw from him when he's out there. I think Phil Pressey is, you know, a very good backup point guard, capable of giving you big minutes when you need it on nights that he's on. So what we saw from Phil Pressey tonight is something kind of encouraging, I think.
And when I was on the CLNS radio postgame show, I was talking about how Phil Pressey he's bullied as a defender by bigger guys, but I think his defense has actually been pretty impressive, almost his entire NBA career, really, considering the situation that he's in with the size and where he sometimes is guarding 2s or 1s. It kind of mixes up a little bit, but his hands are super fast, super aggressive. He keeps up with anybody, no matter what. He full court presses really well.
You have some guys that are fast, some guys that are quick. Phil Pressey is fast and he's quick. And, you know,
he's fwick.
He's fwick. I like that. And, you know, he's annoying as a opposing point guard to be going against. No. So we talk about Bradley, we talk about Marcus Smart. Phil Pressey can lock down as well.
So should we say Phil Pressey's the best defender on the Celtics then?
We're not saying that.
No, okay.
But we're saying Phil Pressey's a
I thought we were going there. I thought that's what you were leading to.
I'm not going to be that bold.
Phil Pressey, greatest player since Wilt Chamberlain, let's say.
Greatest center since Wilt Chamberlain.
Fun stat, actually, Dwight Powell has like, I think it's I want to say he's a 33.4 PER right now. So he's, or maybe
so
he's 34.3.
Like the best player
he's
in the league.
Basically Wilt Chamberlain right now. So Dwight Powell, congratulations. You're the greatest player in NBA history. And this was the greatest show in NBA history, I would say. That's where we're going to end it. So that wasn't self-aggrandizing whatsoever. So for Julian Edlow, I am Jared Weiss. We will see you after Friday's game against Minnesota. I promised one of our commenters I'll make it rain papers, so we out.
Seems like you're enjoying yourself with these with the guys.
I mean, I'm enjoying life. Can't win them all, but you know, these guys are funny, and I'm young and I'm doing what I love to do. It's a dream, you know, come true. I can't be upset about anything. Really.
Does this young group bring the best out of you in terms of getting?
I just want to be a better person each year, be a better teammate each year, and I think I'm doing a pretty good job so far. Just trying to lead these young guys. I'm not that old, but they make me feel like it.